This is the bonus section podcast, episode number 16. 4 simple steps to affect powerful long-term change. Are you the type of person that knows you were meant for something greater in this lifetime, and that somewhere inside of you there's a bigger version of yourself just trying to break free, but in spite of all your self-development attempts, you just can't seem to find a way up? Well, then, hey, you're definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the bonus section and the host of this podcast, and a person just like you, trying to figure out how to live the most fulfilling life possible. Now, to help you take immediate action to get moving in a better direction, we take all the notes from each episode and we post them over at freethinkingtools.com. We leave a couple episodes up there at a time so that we don't confuse everybody, and then we're going to move them over to what will be, at some point, a members section, so you can go deeper if you want to. But right now, freethinkingtools.com, and you have some notes. You can sit down after these podcasts and not try to remember what I said and really use them to think and provoke some positive change in your life. That's my hope. All right, I want to talk about this. 4 simple steps to affect powerful long-term change. And if you go back and listen to this, I'm recording this during all of the riots that are breaking out now, not only in the United States, but all over the world, in protest against really what is essentially racism. And it really has opened up a lot of wounds and a lot of pain, and a lot of people that have been silent are speaking. And so if you want to go back and you want to deal with the anxiety phase of that, because this crisis, or if you hear this somewhere down the road, it'll be any crisis that triggers you. But there's some big stuff going on right now, and there's a lot of people hurting. And so I want to go deeper here, because I deal with this as a coach. I deal with this as a father. There is a lot, and a human being, just like you. I'm going through this, and I'm conflicted. I've had an interesting history growing up in Boston, dealing with race issues and what really is there. And so have we all, by the way. Race issues and discrimination and anything like that goes way back in time. So we have a deep-rooted issue we have to deal with, and it's sensitive, and I'm going right at it because I'm not holding. The bonus section is not about holding back. It's about rolling up my sleeves and getting after it. So just got the chills thinking about that, because here we go. All right. So the first step, I believe, remember, these are just my opinions, okay? You take them for what they want, and hopefully they provoke us all to think. But I believe that you have to gain a deep and real understanding of what you weren't aware of before. So when something like this comes up, we get all so judgy. And I get that, and I'll get into the emotions in a second, but we get very judgy of what everybody else is doing and reacting. Are they reacting the way that I'm reacting? And if they're not, should I just club them over the head? And should I criticize them? Should I put them down? Should I become the next internet troll? No. Take that beat to think for yourself. What does this mean to me, to you? What does it mean to us? And was I aware? See, I believe, and that's why this bonus section exists as a provocative educational discussion. You can never stop learning. There is only so much your brain can handle at a time, and it keeps shrinking if you don't keep expanding it. So the idea of this is, what don't we know? A wise man once said to me, you don't know what you don't know. And I was like, that's perfect. And that's the case for always being somebody who educates yourself. And you can educate yourself in a lot of ways. It's incredibly easy to do by going into a little search bar and starting. Now, of course, everything you see on the internet can be loaded with lies and misfacts. And I mean, whatever it takes you on may or may not be something that helps you, but at least it will provoke your thinking. Then the other thing you can do, especially during protests, is you can go and listen. You can go become a part of one. You can experience it physically. So there's a lot, and that's all part of the learning process. Some of it's kinesthetic and physical like that. What is it like to be in an area like that? Now, of course, I would promote your own safety. Think. Don't do things just without thinking like that. That's freethinkingtools.com. There's a freebie for you. Be safe first, but be involved because it's educational. And try to sift and sort through all of the people who want to take that information and manipulate it to get you to do a certain thing. I want you to experience it for yourself. I want you to listen to both sides, all sides, whatever side There's no one side versus that. It's just multifaceted, and you need to think through that. And you need to just ask yourself, what did I learn that I didn't know before? And a lot of that is disturbing. Especially if you're younger and you're listening to this podcast, you have a perception of the way that the world works based on the way you've experienced so far. And a lot of it can be very altruistic and Pollyanna-ish utopia. Oh, everything's just fine. And then all of a sudden you find out that things you believed were true about people aren't, and that there's an uglier side to things. And it's disturbing. And it moves you. Wonderful. Hopefully. Because now you're involved in the texture of life, the reality of life, and your experience is growing, and the way you think is growing. And I actually think that's incredibly important, and it will never stop. You will never get everything in order, so stop trying to fight that too. That's just the way we have been for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. Yes, let's hope we're evolving. Okay, well, there are a lot of modernizations that keep us safer. We eat better, I think, right? Than maybe living in a cave. I'm being an extremist to just make the point. There is some evolution. Don't be a complete pessimist, okay? There's some reality to the fact we've evolved. But at a very raw human level, we're animals. And then we have this other thing that thrives, and it's a higher level of thinking. So just understand that you are those two things. We all are those two things. So it becomes important that if you want to thrive and you want to move up, like I say in the intro to this podcast, you need to think about these things for yourself. Go somewhere quiet. What does this mean to me? What didn't I know before? What do I now want to know more about? Right? When something like this happens, when these race riots happen, a lot of people started going back and looking at riots of the past and things that had happened in the past. And they looked for fact that was there right in front of their eyes. But until it mattered, it didn't matter, or it didn't even exist for some people. Some people are coming on and making statements and going, oh my gosh, I just made a public statement, made a fool of myself. I'm sorry. I didn't know. Let them, forgive them. Everybody's going through a process here. Like, who are we to be that judgy on people who are trying to go through a process and sift and sort this? However, I do understand there are people that are probably so far gone in what's wrong with them, and maybe their wiring was off to begin with. I don't know. I'm no shrink. But I make room for other people to be what it is. Now, of course, if they are bad people, inherently bad, and change doesn't seem like it's coming to them, I have a decision on how I can deal with them, and so do you. But I'm dealing with you. I want you to deal with yourself. So the next point here is look beyond. This is the second simple step to affect powerful long-term change. 1, gain a deep, real understanding of what you weren't aware of before. That's 1. Number 2, I'm starting to broach it here. Try to look beyond your emotional short-term reaction. See, the animal brain gets all emotional. We get mad, we get sad, we get scared, right? Because those are all the things that help us survive. Oh my gosh, this stunning. I'm afraid. I don't want to go out of the house. Or, oh my gosh, I'm compelled. I need to be in those streets with those people. Whatever it is, that's an emotional reaction that brings us there. That's why I said, think a little bit, folks. Think. Okay, we've evolved as a society to have some level of safety here. And that's what struck the chord here. That certain groups of people are definitely not safe in certain circumstances. No doubt about it. I mean, it's plain for the eye to see. There's no denying. There's no picking a side. What the digital age has done is make things black and white from the standpoint, no pun intended there, and I'm not trying to be a wise guy. I'm telling you on, color, film, there it is. Well, digital, not film anymore, but there it is. You can't deny that. That's as close as you get to fact. That's what's crazy about live and people broadcasting people. There's no hiding the truth. That's real news. Right? So we get emotional, and it's disturbing. Even, these major social media platforms are being criticized. What do you take down? What don't you take down? I mean, it's a dilemma. You want them to take down something that's disturbing to you. I understand that. I don't disagree in a lot of cases. I'm disturbed by stuff. I don't want to see it. I want to customize my experience. But it's almost like maybe all of this stuff is there for a reason. So let's think. Yes, it provokes emotion. Now be careful. Don't become a persuadable. There are a lot of people that want to keep you in this heightened state of negative emotion. They want to keep you scared. They want to keep you mad. They want to keep you doing these things so that you do things in a silly, naive, emotional way. I'm warning you. Have your emotional reaction, but start thinking. Start thinking, which is not easy to do. So before you start yelling and screaming at other people, which I think there is probably a time and place for that. I do. I mean, I watch these protests myself, I've been around long enough to see many of them. And for all different reasons. This is a hot point, though. I get it. For me, it is too. So I want you to just understand we're all going to have emotional reaction. And for me, it's like, look at this very podcast that you're listening to. I do this because I'm passionate about helping anybody. Anybody. This is a free message for anybody who wants to improve their position. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what color you are, what other differences we have. This is for anybody. But I'm telling you that animal brain is emotional. It lashes out. It does silly things. And I don't want you to harm yourself. I want you to become the next leader, even if it's in your micro world. So let me talk about the third simple step. I want you to stop the emotion when you can. Have it out, protect yourself. That's all I ask. Have it out. Get it out. Cry, scream, yell. Please don't be violent with other people. It's just never going to be a good solution. Please don't do that. But get the emotion out so that once that gets out, now we have this little bit of a vacuum of space where the third simple step is think about what is wrong with the process or system that caused this. See, this is where I'm provoking you to think. And I think a lot of thinkers have gone back and said, wait a minute, I didn't even realize this was a real thing. One of the greatest videos I've seen during all the riots is a little tiny white kid and a little tiny black kid running down the street, all excited to see each other, and they just hug each other. These huge smiles. Okay? So what happens over time is all of that gets beaten on, and all of a sudden we fall off into these tribes and these ways and these things, and we lose that to a certain extent, okay? So there's something wrong with the process. The human doesn't see that early on. It's the process, it's the system, it's the way that we are that begins to bring these biases in. Some biases are good. Some biases keep us safe. Right? Don't run down the dark alley in the middle of the night. I'm biased against the dark, right? You get it? Some of them are good. But when it comes to humanity, some of them are super dangerous. So how did it happen? Well, I was reading an alternative history of the United States, and it began to give me a different perspective. It wasn't the pretty, polished version of all the great things. And I live in Boston. Supposedly, some of the greatest things happen right here, right? We get all excited on Independence Day, and we should. The fight for all of this freedom. However, there is a really ugly side to it. There's a really ugly side to the Constitution because it carries some of that systemic bias that is really unhealthy. So we're going, folks, way back in time. And if you go way back in time, don't those pyramids in Egypt look wonderful? You know, I'd like to know how they were built. Wouldn't you? I guess it wasn't all pretty when it came to how people treated people. So these things inherent in humanity go way back. So we have to go back and become history students. I know a lot of you can't stand history. Well, then how can you be an educated protester? I want you to be the best one. Because what I want out of this is I want you to understand systemically, and if you're young, by the way, I'm challenging you. Don't go just on what you see. Now go back and do the homework. Go back and do this, and stop yelling and screaming. Start to begin to articulate your thoughts down. Because here's my fourth simple step to affect long-term change. I'm giving you what I believe is a process. And by the way, I give you this as a father of 5 kids who are digesting all this, especially several of them, and then all the people I have to deal with in business. I'm not making up what I see. It's what I see in others who are affecting or getting ready to affect long-term change, because you know what will happen, as it always does. Things die down. Hopefully we went up generally to another level. But what about you? Why can't you lead something that's bigger, longer, and more perseverant? So the fourth step is, I'd like you to devise a solution that with your perseverance, don't start with everybody else, that with your perseverance could bring about everlasting change that you affect. This is about leadership. This is about you. So let me go back and say that. The fourth step is the biggie. It's the crescendo up to the big point. Boom, right? The grand finale is devise a solution, at least in your head. Write it down. What could I do? What could I stick with? Hey, I just made a donation to this fund during this crisis. Hey, I went down to this march. Bravo, bravo, bravo. Love you. Would give you a virtual hug right now, okay? But I'm not interested in stopping there. The bonus section is what happens at the end of the 100-mile ski marathon. There's woods in there. And it says the bonus section for those who dare. I learned it from my coach after a 100-mile ski marathon. Did anybody do that thing? Did you do that thing? I want you to be one of those people. So you sit down as this begins to calm down a little bit. The problem doesn't go away because there has not been one major discussion about a solution. How do we look at any system that allows for what happened to happen? Where did it break down? Where did it break down? Where was anybody? And again, for me, it triggers all sorts of things. I have to think about all movements from any type of people, from women to minorities to even, well, I'll stop because I could go down a long list. Whatever. Who's ever being discriminated against, right? We have to think about why does it continue to happen? And why, when things calm down, do people who are nefarious, not good people, not willing to change, how do they go right back to being able to what they do? Because nobody really continues to affect a long-term solution. Nobody just pounds away and perseveres in lobbies because we say, meh, we're back in the flow until the next big explosion and the next round of young people come and they drive it. Come on, let's get some some better solutions here. Be a leader. So let me go back and talk about these 4 simple steps again, and I'll summarize it. Enough of me, right? I don't want to get you all emotionally charged because I'm trying to leave you in a logical, actionable place. 4 simple steps to effect powerful long-term change. 1, please gain a deep and real understanding of what you didn't know before, what you weren't aware before. Write it down. I didn't know this or this or this. 2, look beyond your emotional short-term reaction. I can't believe this. Can you believe this? Try to have it out. Get it out. Don't keep it in. Don't bundle it up because you could become the next problem. Get it out. Talk to a therapist. Talk to a friend. Talk through it with people of different races. See how they feel. Get it out. Get through the emotion. But then you start to move into this other place. Why did this happen in the first place? How deep are its roots? Be a student. The third thing is be a student. Go deeper. Don't give this lip service. Shame on you if you just give this lip service and that's where you stop. And any of you hijacking this for your own benefit, shame on you, right? Stay home. And then lastly, you want to really be a leader for yourself, for the people closest to you even if it doesn't go big or viral, who cares? Devise a solution that with your perseverance, it could bring about everlasting change for you and the people that you most directly affect. All right, let me summarize it this way. During a crisis of any sort or degree, we're moved emotionally by a new awakening, a new awareness. However, we must dig past our emotions and root out the real problem and propose a real solution that we can stick with and persevere with so we can affect a more permanent change for the better. All right, remember, you can take immediate action to get moving in a better direction for your life. Because we take all the notes from each of these episodes and we post them for a short time at freethinkingtools.com. Okay, leave a couple episodes up there for you so that whatever that episode is that I most recently did, there's the notes. You can keep up with it. Eventually, I will set up a membership site so that if you want to go deeper with me, you can. But this is free. This is for you. This is for now. Take action. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or myriad other ways to listen to it, and you won't miss out each time we upload an episode. You can stay on the train with us. We also post all of our episodes on our social media channels, and if you turn on those notifications for the bonus section, you won't miss the reminders, and you can join us. And I plan on doing some lives as we go forward. I don't know where this will take me because I've never been into the bonus section before like this, so I'm going on a journey. But I promise you it's going to be authentic and real. We'd also appreciate it if you would share the content with other people just like you who are trying to figure all this out. And then you can join my mission to be a person for others. By the way, I just think that's one of the best things you can always do, regardless of circumstances. Serve, and the rest will follow. Hey, thanks for listening. But remember, nobody's coming for you. So go get to work on yourself. And I will see you in the next episode.